He stepped forward, defiance shaping every word. "We will not kneel, not again, not ever." Sarah didn't silence him. Instead, she turned to the comms officer. "Transmit this response." She faced the void, her voice carrying steel. "Humanity does not trade lives for survival. If you want them, you'll have to go through us." The channel cut. The war began. The first volley struck like thunder. The Resolute Dawn shook violently, alarms wailing as shields flared under the onslaught. Metal groaned, sparks rained across consoles, but the crew held their ground. "Return fire," Elias barked. Turrets roared, lances of plasma streaking into the dark. Against the Dominion's war cruisers, their firepower was a spark against mountains, but it was a spark that refused to die. In the lower decks, Kurani survivors took action. Though unarmed, they carried supplies, sealed breaches, aided medics. Fear warred with instinct, but Kale's voice rang through them like fire in the veins. "Fight with your hands if you must, but fight. Every breath we draw is defiance." The Dominion pressed harder. Another barrage tore through Deck 5, venting compartments into space. Dozens perished instantly, yet still the Resolute Dawn fought. The crew moved with precision born of desperation, every life sacrificed buying another second of resistance. Sarah's voice carried over the chaos. "Target their engines, cripple one, and we create an opening." The gunners obeyed, focusing fire. At first it seemed futile, until one Dominion cruiser shuddered, flames erupting across its hull. A cheer rippled through the bridge. But victory came at a price. The enemy retaliated with merciless fury, hammering the Resolute Dawn until its shields collapsed entirely. Hull plating split, atmosphere vented, and death stalked every corridor. Still comma. No one surrendered. Kyle stumbled into the command deck, blood streaking his temple. His eyes burned with desperate clarity. "You can't hold them alone. Let us fight beside you." Sarah turned, sweat and determination painting her features. "With what? You have no weapons." Kyle's voice dropped to a whisper, fierce and unyielding. "We have memory. We have rage. Give us a chance, and we'll remind the galaxy why they feared us." Sarah hesitated only a moment, then nodded. "Arm them." Elias blinked in disbelief. "Captain, do it," she cut him off. "If this is our end, then let it be together." Within minutes, Kurani wielded salvaged rifles and makeshift blades. Centuries of exile had not dulled their instincts. Shoulder to shoulder with humans, they stormed breached corridors, holding lines the Dominion had nearly overrun. For the first time since their fall, Kurani fought not as scattered survivors, but as warriors. The Dominion fleet tightened formation, dreadnoughts advancing for the killing blow. Yet hesitation crept into their ranks. For every cruiser that pressed forward, one faltered. For every weapon that fired, another wavered. Because across the galaxy, eyes were watching. Pirates, traders, exiles, silent resistances hiding in shadow. They tuned into intercepted transmissions, witnessing humans and Kurani bleed side by side. And in that defiance, something impossible stirred: hope. The Kurani were not extinct. Humanity was not afraid. The Dominion's iron grip trembled. On the Resolute Dawn, the situation grew dire. Core systems flickered, life support collapsed in half the ship, and casualties mounted. Still, Sarah stood tall, her voice anchoring the crew. "We don't die here, not today, not like this." Kyle joined her, his voice carrying with equal fire. "The galaxy will remember. Even if we fall, they will remember." Side by side, human and Kurani commanded their people. Then came the turning point. Sensors screamed as a distortion rippled through space. From hyperspace emerged ships, small, battered, but armed. Dozens of vessels flying the colors of worlds, long subdued. A ragtag coalition of rebels, smugglers, and forgotten clans. They had come because of the Resolute Dawn. Because defiance is contagious. Communications lit up. "Human ship, Kurani survivors, we heard your call. You don't stand alone." Sarah's chest tightened, relief and pride clashing in her heart. She turned to Elias. "Open the channel Her voice rang out across the fleet. Then let's remind the Dominion what unity looks like. The battle shifted. The coalition swarmed, harassing Dominion war cruisers, disrupting formations, tearing through flanks. For the first time, the Pachi giants bled under countless smaller strikes. The Resolute Dawn, though crippled, pressed forward, its guns blazing. Kale led Kurani fighters in brutal boarding actions, their ferocity reigniting legends the Dominion had buried in ash. The tide turned, not by strength, but by unity. Hours stretched like lifetimes, but at last the Dominion faltered. One dreadnought withdrew, then another. Soon their fleet fractured, retreating into hyperspace. The void fell silent. The survivors aboard the Resolute Dawn erupted in exhausted cheers. Tears flowed freely. Human and Kurani clasped hands, bloodied but unbroken. For the first time in centuries, the Kurani were not ghosts. They were warriors reborn. And humanity, once underestimated, had carved its name into the stars. Later, comma. In the dim glow of the medbay, Sarah sat beside Kale. Both bore wounds, but both still breathed. "You realize," she said softly, "this isn't the end. The Dominion will come again, stronger." Kyle nodded. His expression carried both sorrow and resolve. "Yes, but this time we won't face them alone." Their eyes met, an unspoken oath binding them. Humans and Kurani, two species scarred, by war yet unwilling to bow. And across the galaxy, whispers spread into shouts, shouts into movements. The Dominion's reign of fear had cracked. A spark had become a flame. Because a single ship had dared to stand. Because humanity had chosen. Defiance. Because the Kurani had chosen to rise. And together, they had reminded the stars of a truth too long forgotten. Kira smirked. "Then I better work fast." They departed, leaving a lingering threat in the air. Kira slumped against the wall. "What have we gotten into, boy?" she murmured. Bolt pressed his head against her side, in silent agreement. She couldn't remain at the station. It was too exposed. She needed allies, and the only lead she had, the coordinates Kresh had left on Earth, where evidence had been sent. For the next 6 hours, she uploaded everything to encrypted servers hidden behind layers of proxy relays. Physical copies were stashed throughout the station in places only a mechanic would know. She even recorded her own testimony. Finally, she called in a favor. Malcolm Torres answered on the third ring, weathered and alert. Kira explained the gravity of the situation. Malcolm's expression shifted to concern. "Send coordinates. I'll be there in 10 hours. While awaiting his arrival, Kira focused on the ship. The Truth Seeker was too large for her station, but she revived secondary systems. Its computer core still functioned, revealing further evidence. Video recordings of meetings between Alarian officials and Nebula Dynamics representatives detailing asset redistribution and personnel disappearances. One recording made her stop. A human woman, elegant and cold, shaking hands with an Altarian general. The terms were chilling. "Your troublesome soldiers disappear. We get the ships." Plausible deniability maintained. The timestamp, 3 days before Kresh vanished. Malcolm arrived ahead of schedule, piloting his salvage vessel, the Perseverance, with practiced precision. He wasn't alone. 3 others accompanied him. Dr. Rebecca Sterling, a xenobiologist blacklisted for probing too deeply into the silent war. Tommy Nakamura, a former Federation intelligence analyst who had quit under mysterious circumstances. And Yorick Vex, an Alarian who introduced himself as someone who had been chasing answers for decades. They convened in Kira's workshop, spreading the evidence across hollow displays. The room was thick with anticipation. Dr. Sterling finally broke the silence. "This is unprecedented. If this leaks, it could shatter the Alliance or force it to strengthen." Jorick's melodic voice resonated. "My people value truth above. All we've been told lies about the silent war for generations. This confirms our suspicions." Tommy worked furiously, cross-referencing names from Kresh's files with current officials. Some were still in positions of power. Senator Patricia, Hayes on the Defense Committee, General Marcus Webb, recently promoted to Joint Chief. This wasn't history. It was an active conspiracy. Malcolm turned to Kira. Do you realize what you've set in motion? I didn't start this, Kira replied firmly. Commander Kresh did. I'm just finishing it. Tommy asked, what's the plan? We can't just dump this online. Someone will discredit us or worse. Jorik stood tall, his 7-foot frame imposing. We need more than evidence. We need witnesses. People who survived, who saw the wrong but were too afraid to speak. Rebecca added cautiously, most of them would be dead by now. Not all, Malcolm said slowly. Admiral Harrison Fleetwood retired. He was a lieutenant during the Silent War. Lives on Mars Colony 7 now. Kira nodded. That's a start, but we need more. We have to make this public, impossible to cover up. Over the next 3 days, they worked tirelessly. Tommy verified the authenticity of all documents, ensuring they could withstand scrutiny. Rebecca analyzed the ship's biological data, confirming Alarian soldiers had been on human vessels that were supposedly decommissioned before their disappearances. Jorik reached out to the Altarian underground, a secret network aware of government deception. Within hours, dozens of families came forward, confirming loved ones had vanished without explanation, all linked to Kresh's records. Malcolm and Kira focused on the Truth Seeker itself, bringing more systems online. They accessed the ship's black box, which remained intact. The final recordings showed Kresh's last hours. He had not died in a pirate attack, but was pursued by unmarked human and Alarian ships working together. The footage revealed his desperate decision to hide in the asteroid field, powering down systems and hoping someone would discover the truth. His last words recorded were, "To whoever finds this ship, I'm sorry for the burden I'm placing on you, but someone must know. They stole our honor, our brothers, our trust. Don't let them take our truth too." Kira stepped away, eyes brimming with unshed tears. Bolt followed her to the observation deck where she gazed at the stars. He trusted someone he would never meet, she whispered. He trusted that someone would do the right thing. Bolt's slow tail wag seemed an agreement. On the 4th day, alarms screamed through the station. 3 sleek, unmarked ships had dropped out of hyperspace surrounding them, not official military vessels, private military contractor types. Malcolm's voice crackled over the comm. "Kira, we've got company. These aren't negotiators." Kira sprinted to the command center, Bolt at her heels. On screen, the ships positioned for attack. Minutes remained, possibly less. "Tommy, you backed up everything," she shouted. 3 separate locations. "All encrypted," he confirmed. "Rebecca, Jorik, get to the Perseverance," Kira ordered. "Malcolm, can your ship take a hit?" "She's tough, but not that tough," Malcolm replied. Kira made a decision that stunned them all. "Then we don't run, we broadcast a what?" Tommy stared, incredulous. "Open all channels, every frequency, every network. We go live." "They'll jam us," Tommy protested. "Not if we use the Truth Seeker's transmitter. Military-grade Alarian tech. It'll punch through anything," Jorik explained, eyes lighting up. "Emergency diplomatic frequency. Broadcast. To every embassy, government facility and military base simultaneously." Kira activated the ship's aged systems. Her voice rang steady over the transmitter. "This is Kira Donovan, broadcasting from a hidden Alarian military vessel, the Truth Seeker 9, commanded by the late Commander Toval Kresh. I have evidence of a conspiracy between human and Alarian military, contractors responsible for the disappearance and deaths of dozens of soldiers during and after the Silent War." As she uploaded all files, ledgers, recordings, Kresh's logs, DNA evidence, the attacking ships hesitated. Their warnings ceased. Perhaps they realized it was too late. The truth was out. Within hours, governments launched investigations. Families of missing soldiers came forward. Veterans verified suspicions. Admiral Fleetwood went public, confirming falsified casualty reports under threat of court-martial. A flood of witnesses emerged, corroborating decades of hidden crimes. 3 weeks later, Kira stood at the Joint Human-Alarian Council on Luna City. She was there to testify and unexpectedly to receive recognition. Altarian Ambassador Theron Cass approached with a small crystal box. Commander Kresh had no surviving family. By tradition, his possessions go to the one who ensured his Final mission's completion, you brought him home. Inside was Kresh's service medal, a star of pure Altarian crystal, holding light in its core. Trembling, Kira accepted it. "I just fixed things," she whispered. "You fixed more than you—" "No," the ambassador replied. "You healed a century-old wound between our peoples." Later, back at her station, the Truth Seeker fully restored, Kira sat in the command chair. Bolt lay at her feet, content. Malcolm, Tommy, Rebecca, and Jorik had become regular companions. Bonded by the pursuit of truth. Over the following months, Kira oversaw the Truth Seeker restoration, transforming it into a living memorial for the soldiers lost to greed and conspiracy. The ship became a historical site, each panel and console meticulously preserved. Bolt, now older, rested faithfully at her feet while Malcolm, Tommy, Rebecca, and Jorik became her trusted circle, bound by the shared burden of unveiling decades of hidden truths. Kira reflected quietly on the magnitude of what they had achieved. They hadn't just exposed corruption, they had reunited families with closure, given veterans validation, and strengthened the fragile trust between humans and Alarians. The investigation they sparked led to the largest anti-corruption crackdown in human Alarian history. Dozens of high-ranking officials from both species were arrested, and Nebula Dynamics was dismantled, its assets liquidated to compensate victims' families. A year later, an elderly Alarian, bent with age but eyes sharp as stars, arrived at her station. He introduced himself as Toval Kresh's younger brother. "I was told he died a hero," he said, voice thick with emotion. "They gave us condolences, but I never believed it. My brother was too careful, too smart to perish in a random pirate ambush." Kira guided him through the Truth Seeker, showing him the captain's ready room and personal effects, preserved exactly as found. He ran his fingers over the desk, the chair, and other items. "He loved this ship," he said, "called it his second home. The only thing that never lied to him." Kira smiled softly. "He was right to trust it. It kept his secret safe for over a century." He handed her a small crystal glowing softly. "A remembrance stone," he explained. "In our culture, it's given to those who carry a family's honor forward. You've earned it." Back at her workshop, Kira placed the crystal on her desk. Bolt patted it with his head, eyes reflecting its glow. "You know, boy," she said, scratching behind his ears, "I spent my life thinking I was just a mechanic, just someone who fixes things. But maybe," she added, "that's exactly what the universe needed, someone to fix what was broken between two civilizations." The Truth Seeker became more than a memorial. It was a symbol of reconciliation. Thau Center for Education and Remembrance. School groups learned about the Silent War. Veterans paid respects and families found closure. Kira's shipyard evolved into the Donovan Memorial Shipyard and Historical Recovery Center, the premier institution for investigating mysterious losses across human and Alarian space. Sarah Winters, a young engineer whose grandfather had disappeared during the Silent War, joined Kira's team. She handled plasma welders and Alarian tech with ease, sharing Kira's passion for uncovering the truth. Together, they investigated decades-old mysteries, finding hidden documents and ships lost. To time. 10 years after the Truth Seeker's discovery, a celebration was held. Representatives from dozens of worlds attended, including families who found closure. The ship, fully restored, occupied the central hall as a monument. Ambassador Cass addressed the crowd. 10 years ago, a mechanic found a ship, but what she truly discovered was a bridge between our peoples, not built on treaties but on truth. Courage doesn't always wear a uniform or wield a weapon. Sometimes it wears work clothes and carries a plasma welder. Kira stood quietly at the back with Wrench, Bolt's energetic successor. After the ceremony, she toured the Truth Seeker, now peaceful rather than mysterious. She activated an old recording from her first day working on the ship, recalling her younger, uncertain self overwhelmed by the discovery. "We did more than survive," she whispered to the recording. "We changed everything." Suddenly, Sarah approached with a data pad. "Boss, a mining vessel lost near Neptune 30 years ago just appeared on long-range sensors. Want to check it out?" Kira glanced at the Truth Seeker, then at Sarah. "Get the salvage pod ready," she said. "Bring extra recording equipment. Every lost ship has a story and someone needs to hear it. That night, the shipyard buzzed with purpose, tools clanging, systems powering up. Kira and her team worked tirelessly, uncovering truths long buried. The next morning, as their salvage vessel jumped to hyperspace, Kira stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the stars. She knew there were more hidden stories, more soldiers waiting to come home. One ship, one truth at a time, she would find them. She was Kira Donovan. She fixed things, not just ships or stations or mechanical problems, but broken promises between civilizations, shattered trust between peoples, and the forgotten memories of those who sacrificed everything for truth. Sometimes the universe chose a soldier, a diplomat, or a leader. Sometimes it chose a mechanic with a wrench in her hand and determination in her heart. And that was enough. As the salvage vessel disappeared into the void, Kira allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Truth Seeker's story had ended, but her journey as the galaxy's guardian of memory and truth was only beginning.